On this episode of Real Wins, we discuss why agencies and leasing teams don't get along and what is broken when it comes to strategic and content-driven marketing plans. We take a build-in public approach to how this relationship can be approached differently in the future. Without further ado, let's jump into the conversation. Mike, welcome to another episode of Real Wins. It's been a little bit. I think there's been some out-of-town activity happening, but we're back at it.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I'm excited, Chris. Absolutely back in the saddle here. There's been a little bit of travel, a little bit of holidays, and of course some nasty debates online I heard about, I guess.
Yeah, some sick debates happening online. Some poor souls had to endure those, but really good time. No, we had two. I guess we've had have we had two debates since our last one? I think we might have. Yeah, nice kind of new format to bring to the industry. I'm really excited about that one. I think the audience is eager and interested to hear some different viewpoints, and I think they've been successful so far. So all good stuff.
Yeah, man, it's been fun doing it, and obviously learning a lot along the way from some sharp industry minds, and would love to see that continue and do more.
I guess we have to talk about the NBA playoffs too, since I'm in Denver, my co-founder is in Minneapolis, obviously you're in Boston, so there's like the trifecta. There was going to be some trash talking happening. Denver is now out, so I think I said it recently that I'm in mourning, but the T-Wolves, I guess once this tape rolls, we'll see where they've landed, but it seems like Boston's gonna end up there. So are you excited about that?
Yeah, it's always nice, to sort of bring back Title Town here in Boston. It's been a minute. We had a good run in the decades before, but it's been slow so far. But so we have high expectations here in Boston, and I'm looking forward to the Celtics in the finals. And unfortunately, it won't be with your team or Chris or Brian's team, but nonetheless, we can celebrate Boston perhaps.
Unless there's a historic comeback in this other series, which I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't see that happening. Yeah, that's pretty rare in the NBA.
It is. Well, let's. It'll be funny to go back to this time capsule in a few weeks and see where we landed. But today I want to focus on one main topic, and I think it's one that we've been seeing a lot recently. Certainly, it comes up a lot with the work that we do. But the whole title here is, or the idea is, why agencies and leasing teams don't get along. A little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I also think there's a lot of truth to that statement, because we've certainly seen it over the years. We've heard horror stories from other teams. And so I think for this one, we're sort of taking this approach of, let's build this out in public. Like, let's work on this topic. Let's workshop this topic publicly and talk about kind of what we're thinking about moving forward and how we're building a better relationship between agency, developer, and leasing teams. So Mike, maybe you could kick us off with kind of the setup of like what we see and what the issues are, just so the listeners and the viewers have a better sense of the landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing in the industry is the same old sort of cat and mouse game where sales and marketing have always had this natural conflict, right? And so sales team want more leads, better leads, more traffic, whatever the need is, and marketing is like, well, you're not helping us. You're not giving us what we need to develop, a marketing program. And so there's this conflict, this age-old conflict that is, I think, magnified in the multifamily industry more than anything, because, you've oftentimes got a distinct teams and firms and companies between an agency and an on-site leasing management company, owner, operator, whatever it might be. So there's this really natural disconnect. And I think there's also just a lack of overall strategy. We talk about strategy a lot from, with our sort of go-to-market strategy plans. And I think that especially is magnified down towards maybe the bottom of the funnel when you're executing ads and content, which I think we're going to get to in a second. But how do you drive traffic? How do you drive leads? How do you drive conversions? And ultimately, how do you drive revenue? And I think there's always been a disconnect where the marketing agency may be putting together this beautiful branding and beautiful graphics and social media graphics that they do, and then maybe you get a couple posts a week on social media, and they become relatively boring and stale because you don't have this sort of active engagement. You don't have community building in any substantial way, and and especially when markets get more difficult, when there's a high supply side in a lot of areas of the country now, multifamily, when the market slows down, if it's a for sale project, and where we're seeing in a lot of places because of rates. So there's many factors, and the sales teams or leasing teams on site say, just do more social media, more posts or more emails instead of the 2 emails a month or 1 email a month. We want 4 emails a month. We want four a week. It's always just more, do more. And it's like, well, that's not the problem, right? The problem is just lacking strategy and lacking content that actually drives revenue. And I think that's what we're really trying to rethink how there's this integration of a leasing team, a property management team, and an agency to create content that drives real revenue.
Yeah. I think that's a really great stage setting overview, because I think when we dig deeper into the agency side, speaking from an agency owner side, we are guilty as everyone else, putting together some social packages, doing a few different types of posts a week or a month, and then that's your package. That's your monthly social media package. But I think 2 things that we're seeing. Number one is that just doesn't get any traction. Like you said, there's no impetus for anyone to sort of pay attention or care. It just feels like everything else, where there's a stock image and the leasing team is underwhelmed. And then secondly, the leasing team themselves, they're strapped for time. They need to have more of a specific handhold or guidance on how they should be interfacing with the marketing side as well. And so, very often there's this just general disconnect between, once we're in this phase, how do we best work with a leasing team, and how do we articulate that to a developer, to an owner as well, what that game plan is. And so I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think it's important to note what we're seeing as well, like what ends up happening in the real world when we're not on LinkedIn doing pretty, social posts about stuff. Like when it comes down to, a team that's strapped for time in a leasing office, and they're trying to make a cool environment and atmosphere for people that are coming in interested in buying, I think we can agree that that's really falling short, and that's what's happening in probably the majority of communities today.
Oh yeah, and it's falling dramatically short in so many ways that could, drive much better impact in terms of faster absorption, better rents, residents who really are engaged with and have a better place to live, better retention. There's so many things that could be improved here on as I call it, the revenue side of the coin of sort of leasing and management. And I think, it is the challenge that you talked about. The marketing teams don't have the sort of content, knowledge, information, action, activity, boots on the ground information that the leasing teams and managers have. And the leasing teams and managers don't have the marketing expertise, and also just don't have the time in a lot of cases to help and coordinate that effort. And I know we're really excited. We've talked about this a lot, so offline, obviously not recorded. And the things that we're doing right now to build a real revenue platform, this real connection between agency and leasing, really across the country. And I think we've got a lot of good things that we're working on that are exciting ways to do that. And I think principally the first thing that we are driving to is developing this idea of content first marketing. So you have to be developing the content, right? So I think there's the myth that you can just do social media or something, or do ads or whatever it might be. But really, it's all about the messaging, the positioning, and then extending that through some, effective content pillars and different types of content that you can use, not just to write an ad or distribute on a social media channel, but also use in the leasing process or the tour process, sort of pre-appointment engagement, post-appointment engagement, to drive, connecting with residents or prospective residents to get them to convert to leases faster. And just the sort of the last thing that is always, there's this big misperception is that, doing social media is not marketing per se, right? Just posting to post is not doing marketing. If you don't have the content behind it, then it's really pointless ultimately to just do more posts, right? And so that's the thing that I think we're trying to kind of really connect and get to. You can't just do more emails or do more social posts. You have to have the content behind it that is engaging and builds attraction first, because social media ultimately, and email marketing and all these things, are just distribution channels for your content. And if the content is not good to begin with, the distribution is going to fall flat on its face anyway.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Wins. Brought to you by Authentic, delivering premier multifamily brand experiences and smart digital marketing. Authentic's proven approach accelerates leasing velocity, boosts rental rates, and increases long-term value. You can find out more at AuthenticFF.com. And by Charlesgate, the multifamily investor's secret weapon to help underwrite, go to market, and operate projects that generate market-beating returns. With an adaptive staffing model and on-demand leasing teams, Charlesgate empowers a better resident experience at an efficient cost structure for today's owners. Visit charlesgate.com for more. That was the exclamation point I was going to put on what you were going to say there, because there is this common misconception between the content itself and then the distribution channel itself, and they're very much separate. Obviously they work together, but they're very separate. And so commonly, I think the way of thinking in the industry has been, well, let's just do Facebook, let's just do ads, well, we just need to do the email campaign. But when you take a step back from that statement, you're not talking about creating a content strategy or a framework around how to deploy that. You're just simply talking about, hey, I think we need to have a profile page on Facebook and do a post a week, because I think that's what we need to do, because that's what we've seen for the last 15 years. But that's not what we're saying. We're saying, take a step back from the distribution channel and let's focus on the link between what's happening at the property, how the leasing team is selling the property and so forth, and how that content is being created and strategies around that content.
Yeah, exactly. And content that can work up and down the funnel. So we're talking about, I know some of the ideas obviously we're building into, ideally what we build is into a strategic playbook that is customized for each property, depending on, again, the branding, the messaging, the positioning, the target audience, all those important key factors of building a brand. Then the question is, how do you build your content strategy from there? And you can incorporate really a lot of cool things. Like, for instance, why can't we be building a playbook so that our leasing team can do short FAQ videos? So there might be 10 common questions asked for the property. If you build a playbook and an opportunity for them to answer those 10 questions, give the leasing team an easy way to do that. The marketing agency can certainly help with that. And then you have this really good content that actual residents ask, what are some of the most commonly asked questions. Then you can use that. You can distribute it on social. You can distribute it on email. You can distribute it as a pre-appointment reminder. Really excited to meet you. Here's the 10 most commonly asked questions if you want to be best prepared for your visit to the property, so that the leasing agent has a lot of the job and engagement done with that resident before they even walk in the door. Hopefully, that gets them excited and allows them to close them faster. So that's one example of just this idea of like, what is the content that's going to engage them, instead of the latest post that is in a pretty frame that someone did on Canva or something that has the local restaurant that's nice. And I get it. That's this lifestyle marketing, which matters, but there's a way to do that really well by, again, there's lots of different ways to do it. But the key thing is to really think strategically about it and not just go through the motions with posting the local restaurant, twice a week or whatever.
Yeah, that's a totally on point. And I think another way to attack this would be from the side of the ILSs out there, right? So I think what ends up happening is there's this social bubble that is offered, and then there's a paid bubble that is offered. And when we think about how the two interplay, I think the thing that we're driving at here is you can't only rely on one social post a week or a month, or one email a month, and an ILS profile on apartments.com and Zillow, right? Like that's not creating community. There's no strategy there. Thousands and thousands of other communities are doing the exact same thing. And from the residents' perspective, you don't stand out at all. You just look like the same old thing that they've seen, 100 times in their search. And so, I think you said offline, the ILSs are essentially sort of like a tax on the industry. And I agree. It's just something you need to do. But if you're able to use that as a way to continue some storytelling and push people towards more information about the property, that quickly gets them into this more strategic content campaign, or the way that we're thinking about content from a strategic standpoint, you can use it to your advantage rather than just feeling like you're relying on it as another landing page for someone to come and hopefully, submit some information or maybe visit your website. Think of it as like you're going fishing. It's another net to capture some interested residents to pull them into your content campaigns.
Yeah, totally. And look, I mean, I think yeah, that's right. I do. The ILSs are attacks on the industry, and it's so weaponized. It's like, okay, you need the XYZ Platinum platform because your competitor has the BAG like Platinum Plus platform. So you got to compete with them. So that's an extra $2,000 a month or what. It's like, it's just silly. And this happens because communities and properties aren't putting together strategic campaigns about owning their own story, their own positioning, their own messaging, their own campaigns that attract people at scale. And it's hard. I can fully admit that we have failed on this many times because it's hard, and it's just but that's why we are identifying this as like we're building a system, an operational system and playbook that we can deploy across every new development or even currently leasing that is a strategy to develop this content, the playbook, the content pillars, and the different types of content and how it gets distributed to be capturing more attention at the widest part of the funnel, helping engage and nurture them in the middle parts of the funnel, the prospective residents, and then helping help the leasing team more directly convert those residents down with content across the whole the whole scope of the funnel in the buyer journey in this case, and then also continue on through retention as well to build really exciting customer engagement. Now, it's not easy, it's hard, and it's about really thinking. Again, not to overuse the word strategy, but building a comprehensive playbook of content, not just thinking about distribution, but the specific content and messaging and content types that work across the buyer, across the resident journey. And this will also, thinking strategically about it, it's going to change. Like the messaging and content that you're developing in the launch phase of a new project, let's call it, is going to be different than when you're 75% leased or sold out. And so we have to be thinking about content along the whole cycle of a project as well, and adapting and changing it throughout that in a way, but in a strategic way. You're just building these frameworks that can really make a sense. That's what I'm really excited about here that we're doing.
Yeah, and that is something that for us, something that we've been building into our, for example, a monthly marketing report phone calls where we're talking about what is the data showing us? Yes, but then what are you seeing on the ground, on site? Are the studios getting leased up and we're really trying to push 2 bedrooms now? How can we turn the dials? How can we adjust this for the next month so that you're positioned to be even more successful moving forward? The last thing I want to talk about is maybe there's an elephant in the room here. As I were talking about this, I certainly think there is. And that has to do with the education on the property side. I think that in order for this to work, you need to have a champion that is on site. You need to have a property manager who gets it, who is locked in and can sort of facilitate this process at the property level. Or you certainly need leasing agents that are on board too. I think one of the biggest headwinds for this shift in the industry is going to be, like you said earlier, this has been done one way for so long that thinking about it this way is very different. Maybe it's uncomfortable, whatever it is. I think for us to come in and be successful, you need to have a team that is open-minded and ready and willing to do things a little bit differently with a little bit more of that strategic lens, to overuse the phrase, but to drive at better results. Because at the end of the day, that's our goal, is to drive better results, drive more revenue for the property, and make the property be more successful.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where this concept of building a revenue platform really comes from, is like, how do you build the tools, the systems, the processes that align the marketing side and align the leasing or property management side on site to be coordinating, working together, creating the feedback loop that allows, from that initial content strategy to be developing even better content as you go throughout the project and to build that engagement. Now, it is important to be making it simple and easy, because the on-site teams do have a lot of work to do outside of, in many cases, outside of leasing. Even if you do leasing, the way I think it should be done, with focused on specialized roles, someone who is just doing leasing, not trying to be a manager and a leasing person, but even just a leasing specialist, they still have a lot to do outside of that, and they can't also be doing the full scope of marketing and leasing. So this is where this coordination comes in, and building that right set of processes and systems to continue to get feedback from the residents, is where you want the feedback from, and to have that sort of be engaging with the content. But again, another idea I know that we're working on is like, why, if you have a project that is, has, let's say it's a new development, you've got 20 or 30% pre-leased, why not have a contest for the residents to submit their most exciting video about what they're most excited about moving in for the project? And then next thing you know, you've got 20 cool videos. You can give a reward or some sort of gift certificate or whatever for them for doing it. And then you can take that 10 and 20 pieces of really unique content and use that to create new ads to distribute on social, to use as you're talking to help convert new residents. So to develop the processes by which we're going to go about creating that, and allowing for the local teams on site to be able to do it in a way that is fast, easy, yet powerful, is going to be, I think, pretty transformative in the industry. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about what we're building at on Transforming Cities. Which, in addition to that, on Transforming Cities, we're going to have, I know, that education piece as well, so that we can develop a network of champions who are like, okay, this is how it needs to get done. Here's the background for it. Here's the context for it, and here's how you do it. And that's what I know we're both shooting for with Transforming Cities as well.
That's right. I'm gonna end on a joke because I just felt like it was so appropriate. We can do giveaways, you can do contests, but definitely not on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn will shut down your page and you won't get it back for 5 days, which we learned about recently when we offered a little bit of a giveaway to some of the viewers of the latest debate. The LinkedIn now has an AI that comes through, scans all your content, and then shuts it down if it deems something inappropriate. And for us, it was a $50 Amazon gift card. So just a word of warning to anyone watching or listening. That's definitely a thing that's happening now on LinkedIn. So
the AI overlords have officially taken over in full, as if they didn't own the revenue management software enough. Now they're paying.
Are you listening?
Recall to that debate. But that's amazing. At least we got Transforming Cities back online on LinkedIn again. So I suppose I should do the old famous YouTube like and subscribe plug here now.
Yeah, like and subscribe, follow for more, and then if you want to win something, just check your email, because we will no longer post that on LinkedIn. This was good. I really liked it. I know we only did one topic today, but we're already 21 minutes into this thing, so big topic, important one. Obviously, we're excited about it. Content marketing, more important than ever, every step of the way at this point. So we're excited to dive in and continue to kind of build in public and make this thing better for our partners.
Awesome, Chris. Good conversation, and I'm excited to keep rolling with this.
Sounds good. Talk to you next time.